No one can blame you for going away. But don't tell me truth hurts. Truth hurts like hell. Paraphrasing lyrics from The Labyrinth as I reflect on David Bowie's death. An end to somebody who I didn't know personally, but whose movie and music I enjoy. The Labyrinth is a movie I've seen more than once. And I love it because there's a lot to it. So, although I'm sad that a human who can create is gone, there is still a legacy left behind to examine, re-examine, and explore. And that's what we should focus on, I think. So, Down in the Underground, the first song in the Labyrinth movie, presents paradox and presents us duality and fights against duality, extremes between reality and fantasy. Is the Labyrinth Sarah's dream or imagination, or is it real? The owl at the end suggests that it's real, that the Goblin King is really real, and that Sarah has some sort of ability to bring these things into this reality that otherwise would be imagination, but yet it might just be imagination. It might just all be a dream. In fact, in the middle of the movie, she is given amnesia, forgets everything, and then it's her room. She's home. It's perfect. But it's not real. It's not her room, and it's nowhere near perfect. It's all just junk. Don't tell me truth hurts, little girl. Because it hurts like hell. In other words, you don't have the experience of life and experiencing truth. You don't know how bad truth really can be, so don't you dare tell me anything. Don't talk to me about the truth. You don't even know yet. You don't even get it. You're not there yet. Because the reality is she isn't there yet. Sarah isn't there yet. And that's why it is a labyrinth, both in the actual sense and in a metaphorical sense. The labyrinth is your life. Navigating through it requires cunning, and also realizing that things aren't always as they seem. Look to the left, goes on forever. Look to the right, it goes on forever. That's not a labyrinth. There's no twists or turns or anything. You're not looking at it right. It's right there in front of you. It's just a wall. Walk through it. You can't walk through a wall. It's an optical illusion. It's not a wall. The wall's behind there. There's bends there. You just were looking at it as if it was one solid wall. You saw what you saw, but you didn't think to stop and test and poke and see if what you saw made any sense. The worm is the second character that Sarah encounters. The first, of course, is the one that's going to become her faithful companion throughout the film, and also her betrayer, which is indicative of biblical ideas and religious ideas. I think Judas, and also the apple, and you eat the apple and something bad happens. You've been betrayed by your friend. What have you done? I'm a coward. All these sort of things that we have, that we navigate through life. The greed ooh, that's plastic. Ooh, I really want that, that's valuable here. And then eventually, I'm going to do this because it's the right thing to do. The beast that isn't actually scary. The noble knight who took a vow. You can't pass this bridge without my permission. So ask his permission. It's not that hard. Just ask. A lot of these problems could be resolved if Sarah just asked the right question. But that, I think, is the Labyrinth telling us that it's always going to be a little bit more clever than we are, or in retrospect, that if we had just been a little bit more clever, it would have been so much simpler, or so it seems. Sarah doesn't ask the worm, how do I get to the Goblin Castle? She asks the worm, how do I get out of this labyrinth? You just got in the labyrinth. You don't want to get out. You want to get to the center. That's nowhere near the exit, if there isn't even an exit to the labyrinth. You went in the labyrinth to get to the Goblin's castle, the Goblin King's castle, not to get out. The worm doesn't know how to get out, but he did know how to get to the city. When she says, oh, she's just glad you don't go that way, never go that way. Why? She doesn't ask him why. She just goes, oh, thanks, I won't go that way. If she kept going that way, she would have gone straight to that Goblin Castle. But she wouldn't have been ready for the Goblin Castle, because she wouldn't have had the experiences that she needed to have to be ready to face the challenges of the final confrontation. And so, as we journey through the labyrinth of life, through the metaphorical labyrinth and the real labyrinth, the rules change. She tries to outwit it. She marks which direction she's going on the ground, and little creatures come and change her marks and flip them around and remove them, and then the labyrinth itself changes its configuration. It's just not fair. That's the point. It's not fair. It's not supposed to be fair. It's supposed to be unfair. The easiest thing would be just climb on top of the walls, right? No, because that's not the way to solve the labyrinth. There isn't a solution, but yet challenging that idea that there isn't a solution to find the solution is the solution. Sarah's confronted with a pair of doors. One always tells the truth, the other one always lies. So she asks one question. And I've worked it out. She asked the right question, but the door seems to send her to doom anyways. Well, no, certain death. She isn't sent to certain death. She falls down a hole with helping hands, who ask her up or down, and she chooses down. Why? Up is the what? She chose down. Why? To end up in the oubliette where you put things to forget. Is it easy? Oh, it's a piece of cake. Why did you say that? Why did you make it? No, it's not easy. This is very difficult. Just be honest. Your labyrinth is extraordinarily difficult and hard to navigate. And yeah, good job. I've been having a hard time. Good on you. But Sarah fights the king. No, your labyrinth is easy, it's not fair. And he says, you say that so much, what's your basis of comparison? Because it isn't fair. And then when Sarah learns that lesson, it isn't fair, and that's the way it is. She goes from the little girl to somebody ready to face the final test. Which isn't really the final test, but it is a maturity. Now, I want to look at this as if the Goblin King is a god, or is the god. Because what he says to Sarah at the end suggests very much that he is essentially a god of this reality. I've turned everything upside down. I've changed all the rules. I took the child like you wanted, which she did. She asked for that to happen. I've done it all for you, and all you have to do now, if you look what I'm offering, your dreams. Just love me. Let me rule you. And you can have anything you want. Fear me. Obey me. Do as I say. And you can have anything. Through trials unnumbered and hardships unspoken, I have fought my way here to the castle through the Goblin City to take back the child that you have stolen. Damn, I always forget the next part. You have no power over me. Face to face with a god that has all this power and wants all this it has done all these things from you, and offers you the epitome of all things that you could ever want in this small sphere of magic. To say no is the ultimate immaturity. That's the ultimate in braveness. The labyrinth doesn't end though, because her friends will always be there if she needs them. Every now and then she does need them. Now that's the point where we start to ask, is this in her mind? It just was all imagination, but there's so many clues that it was actually real. The owl flapping against the window busts in. The child's really missing. The goblins speak and she can't hear them. Things occur that she's not aware of. And then the owl flies away at the end. It is real. And it's also not. Just like reality is real, but our perception might not be quite right about it. But down in the underground, you'll find someone true. But yet, at the same time, you'll also find that life can be easy, but it's not always swell. And that it's not just that the truth hurts, but it hurts like hell. So yeah, you'll find friends and you'll make enemies, but you'll navigate. And looking back, you'll ask, if I just was a little bit more clever, couldn't I have outwitted this? If I just asked the right questions, couldn't I have beaten this and overcome it and gotten there much easier and sooner or faster? And the answer is yes and no, because you weren't ready yet. Even if you had been more clever, you wouldn't have been ready to be more clever. Even though you did have the right answer, it seems like you didn't have the right answer. And in all of that, somewhere amidst there is absurdity and paradox and maturity and the fight to find yourself. And the reality of Sarah's life, where her parents don't seem to care what her thoughts, feelings, desires, and needs are. They just assume that if she had plans, she would tell them. They want her to have plans, but yet they've come to just expect her to not. So they're not even bothering to ask her, which is what she wants them to do. Ask me whether or not I have plans. Treat me as the individual that I want to be treated as, not as you assume I should be. Something that I think that after her adventures, she'll be able to express to her parents, who seem not to care. And maybe that is the perception of the young, is that our parents can seem like they're wrapped in their own world, and maybe they are. Just like Sarah's wrapped in her own world until she realizes that there's more to it. There's more at stake. That her baby brother, although annoying and frustrating, is worth fighting for. Because it's not about her. It's about everyone else around her. And it's not fair. But it's not supposed to be. So, you remind me of the babe. Babe with the power. The power of voodoo? Hoodoo, you do. Do what? Remind me of the babe. That could be an infinite loop. Pretty cool. Put to the test. Will we say to the Goblin King that you have no power over me? Or will we give in to temptation and take the reward offered if we just serve him, let him rule us, fear him, and obey him? Then we can have everything we want. Will we succeed or fail? Will we go up or down? Will we find allies, or will we make too many enemies? Go left, go right? No. Go straight. The answer is right in front of us. You just can't see it. You're not asking the right questions. What are the right questions? You won't know until you've asked the wrong ones. The truth doesn't just hurt. It hurts like hell. And so, as I reflect on the Labyrinth, as we tend to reflect on lives and people and events, David Bowie is gone, but his works remain, be they movies that he's been in and songs that he's produced, whatever our enjoyment level of them are. However we view that event of his life and legacy, we're still here. Our labyrinth is still being navigated. And it's not about getting out or solving the labyrinth. That's not the right question to ask. How do I get to the Goblin City? How do I get to confront? How do I get to that moment of epiphany where I face my hardest challenge, but I have to face it alone? It's just the way it's done. But my friends will be there if I need them. That's good to know. Whether my friends be imaginative or real or a combination thereof, they'll help me to navigate this labyrinth of life. I hope that these meager, humble words might inspire you in some way, shape, or form as well. As long as we remember, you have no power over me. But you should subscribe and send me money and all that anyways, because I got nothing.